very quickly on that, do you think there is an element in South Africa where there is too much comparison with previous days in South Africa and not enough comparison with other countries?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Diana Geddes from Southern Africa, correspondent of The Economist. Deputy Minister, I'm always very interested in the statistic you gave us of 40% of the working age population having jobs, which means 60% don't have jobs, and most of those are highly unlikely in their lifetime to have a job. When you talk about the various role players or stakeholders coming to the party, you talk about government, business, and labour. Who speaks for the 60% of the country that don't have a job and are highly unlikely to get one? Why, when Cosatu is saying we want to protect workers' rights or raise their wages, why doesn't government, or all of us, emphasize increasingly the fact that, as you were suggesting, you've budgeted in the civil service, for example, you've budgeted for 4.8%, which is average inflation. The demand is already for 10%. Could we not give a quantity or quantify each time Cosatu says, yes, we demand 12%? Could we not say to them, look, this, you'll get your 12% if you like, but that will be at the cost of X number of thousands of jobs. So as to put some of the onus back on the unions, who seem to be only interested in protecting their members' rights, rather than trying to help, as I say, the 60% of the working age population without a job. And just a subsidiary question to that, as we know in Brazil and India, which have also got very high unemployment rates, one of the reasons they seem to succeed better than South Africa is because of the size of their informal labour market, or black economy, whatever you like to call it. Why is it that in South Africa it's so minuscule? And what could be done to increase it?
Government speaks for all of us. But if there are competing demands on the table, I think it is important that we all learn to begin to speak on behalf of those that are not represented. And our interventions, ranging from the learnership programs which we've had in the past, right up to the youth employment subsidy we are talking about today, all those initiatives are meant to demonstrate government's commitment towards attracting those that are outside, because for people, I mean, all our other programs, even the short-term expanded public works programs, are actually meant to try and at least bring on board people that otherwise don't have a chance of being in employment. And I agree with you entirely that the most important sector that we need to build is the informal sector, because that is where more jobs are created. Larger corporates would, I mean, it has been proven that they are not the best of the employment creators because they have other ways of dealing with production, whilst the informal sector is more labor intensive. So the biggest challenge we have, and that is why we have also put in so much money both in trade and industry to be able to continue with those incentives, but also the youth employment subsidy is meant to bring on board those youngsters without necessarily also interfering with the current wage levels. But as I indicated at the beginning, that it's now time for all of us to move towards one common objective of growing the economy, because if the economy is not growing, that's the prerequisite. But in order for it to grow, we need to attract those people also to deal with the social problems, other social problems. If young people are unemployed, they are vulnerable. If they are unemployed, they are likely also to cause other social problems that the country experiences at the moment. So trying to move towards a state that actually accommodates them, we need to build this entrepreneurial capacity. And there are departments that have been charged specifically with that. The informal sector, I agree with you, is an important sector, and we have put a lot of emphasis on that. And as such, have put in resources also to make sure that that also happens. The negotiations with labor, as you would know, it's not only COSATU, but it's negotiations with the broader labor movements. We know that they have a constituency to service. When they start at 10% and government is at 4.8%, all the factors that you are raising are factors that we put on the table. Whilst labor puts its own demands on the table, we also have to justify our 4.8 offer, because it is precisely premised on what you have just said, but all other imperatives, because at the end of the day, we want to improve the real wages of the employees without necessarily also rewarding unproductive labor. But also to begin to build the skills that the market requires, so that as that skill enters the market, we begin to get a balanced field, because people will enter the market. Once they're in the market, they will also begin defending their own rights.